All right, Kelly, got quite a responsibility here. If you would first tell us a little bit about your background and your career journey. Get here today.
Okay. First of all, if I could, I just want to make one comment of the movie that you saw uh, that had the marathon employee, Justin Wrinkle. Justin, could you stand up a sec?
Yeah,
I just
Justin.
want to help Justin. He's the movie star from Marathon, and just so you, all you ladies know, he's single. he, he makes good money. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got to tell you, all three of them did a great job for me on the video. But he was funny. We had a great time, and I told him that I was going to put together the outtakes,
Little
which
bloopers.
the
Yes.
little bloopers, because he was great. Good job, Justin. Thank
No, I appreciate that. Taking off from that, I'm very humbled to see who's on this agenda for today. I'm not in that ballpark, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be here to tell all you folks a little bit about Marathon and a little bit about myself and why I'm with Marathon. And I just have a very personal story about it. My career started when I grew up in Salt Lake, a little town outside of Salt Lake called Bountiful. When I graduated high school, I moved to Alaska and did some church work up there for a couple. After that, I met my wife. We dated for a long 2 months and got married, and that was her fault. We've been married for 40 years, and I have we've raised 6 children, and we have on the program it says I have 25 grandchildren. Right now it's 23. My youngest daughter, who is lives in Salt Lake, is as we speak in the hospital. My wife couldn't make it. She's pregnant with twins, and they got to do C-section, so it'll either be today or tomorrow. And so if this rings, I'm answering it so you guys know. I'm just very proud of my family. I have a very active family, just incredible. And real quick, I want to tell you of my 6 children and their spouses. Between all of them, I have 3 that are professional mountain bike racers, 2 that are professional CrossFitters, and 1 that professional Spartan race runner. So very active, and the one thing that's really hard about for my wife and I to be here is we don't have any of our children here, none of our grandchildren here. But again, thank goodness for FaceTime. Every Sunday, without we never miss a Sunday, we FaceTime every one of our kids to get the update on what's going on. And I just want to share with you, I think it's kind of unique, the update that happened this last Sunday, real quick. Gavin, my 13-year-old grandson, he raced motocross, had a wreck, got a concussion, broke his collarbone. My little granddaughter Harper, that's a year and a half, fell, broke a bone in her wrist, and broke a bone in her elbow. And then perhaps the most unique one is little Kelly, who's in the terrible twos. He found a little horny toad in the backyard, and he brought it in the house and showing mom and dad, and was really excited about it. And then it came time. Mom said it's time to get that out of here. He put it in his mouth and swallowed it.
you. Oh no, he
So
got rid of it.
yeah, we got
Got rid of it.
they called the hospital and they said you don't have to worry about it. The stomach acids take care of it. So that's pretty typical in a very active family. So going from there, when I moved to Alaska, I got married. I began working in the oil fields. Next June, I will have worked 39 years in the oil field. I worked in Alaska for 3 major companies up there. I worked in the Cook Inlet, on the North Slope Park and Prudhoe Bay fields, and in the gas fields on the Kenai Peninsula with Marathon Oil. The thing that draws me to Marathon Oil, and towards the end when I wrap this up, I'm going to kind of bring this back again. What I like about Marathon Oil is their safety culture, their commitment to the environment. It is as real and genuine as anywhere I've ever seen. They take care of their people. Every voice is heard. They take care of the people. I've seen that. It's actually not even an option. Marathon. You will treat people right, non-negotiable. What I love about Marathon and the 4 assets I've worked for in Marathon is the community, the way they give back to the community. And I kind of walked through that a little bit. I started up there with Marathon. I've been with them 10 years next June. I transferred down to Wyoming to the Wind River Reservation, if you're familiar with there, and I worked with the Arapaho and Shoshone people and loved every minute of it. It was just absolutely incredible. From there, I went to North Dakota, and excuse me, let me back up. In Alaska and Wyoming, I was in the production department, and then in Dickinson, North Dakota, I went up there for a couple of years, worked in the HES, Health Environmental Safety, and worked as a safety manager up there. From there, we got the call and asked to come down and start the fields up in New Mexico in Carlsbad. I was as excited as could possibly be, but nowhere near the excitement of my wife. So you got to remember her journey. She grew up on a homestead in Alaska, 50 years, Wyoming, North Dakota. When I told her, the first thing she said is, "I'm finally going to get warm." And so we're really excited about it. So that's been my journey. That's where I'm at today. I'm the very first employee for Marathon down here in these fields. I know most of you know that's been here a while. Marathon used to be here. In fact, the gas plant's still called the Marathon Gas Plant. It's no affiliation of us whatsoever, but we're excited to be here.
Wow. You got a great family story and a great job. Your life's full. I'm
Oh,
blessed.
very blessed. Thank you.
So you have offices here in Carlsbad. Can you tell us a little bit about your office space here in Carlsbad? How many staff you have, and how many contractors you have working for you?
Sure. We have currently 55 Marathon employees, and that's growing fast. Um, it seems to be growing every month. And then we have, as of this morning, 214 contractors. And the contractor number varies a little bit, as everybody knows, field, depending on the projects going on. Um, we have our organization consists of drilling, completions, construction, production, workover, the HES Health and Safety Department, and some other departments that support those departments. We me personally, I am the production superintendent down here. I am responsible for all the production, safety, the environmental stewardship down here. I'm responsible for lots of other miscellaneous things like the building, the fleet, um, the management change system. I'm also the one that is responsible to work within the community, philanthropy, and trying to give back to the community. In my org specifically, I have about probably 60 to 65 people. And the most important part, I think one of the most important parts of my organization, that my responsibility is all those different organizations, an asset like this. And I know I'm speaking to the choir out here, it's so important to keep that group together working as a team. And that's my responsibility. Make sure all those working together, there's no individualism. We're not creating sometimes a company within a company, it feels like. And I really love Marathon for that because it is very, very team oriented. Everybody knows that everybody's
You know, I got that out of when I was uh, just it love song. It love going to work, not going to work for 'em. And he had a couple of the folks there, and they were saying the same thing. So our theme this year is the work. That means,
that's probably the easiest question I'll get. Without this local workforce, and I mean this with all sincerity, we would not be able to run our business successfully. Marathon Oil is we first and foremost we go out of our way to hire local when we have openings. We look for local people. We've had great success. 96% of our workforce is local, and that means they either live here in Carlsbad, but we got a couple that live in Roswell, a couple in Artesias, a couple in Hobbs, all in this area. The other 4% of that is our commuters that with specialty crafts and that we were able to get them for a little short time, but 96% of the workforce is local. We cannot again run this business without this local workforce, and Marathon's committed to that. I'm not the only one that does the hiring down here. All the other departments, when we hire, we get together and we look at all those committed, and again the local gets priority, and had very good.
line. What opportunity and skills are companies today looking for? Oh,
First and foremost, when we look for people, we look at their safety commitment. Are are they stewards of the environment? If they don't understand our culture, could they be trained? And could they accept that culture? If they cannot, they're not going to work for Marathon. And we feel so strongly about that. It's just one of our core values. Um, we look for people that have an incredible attitude, that want to work, people who can be trained. We hire a lot of workforce that has no experience that just come right in, and in my organization specifically, if they come into the operations production, they're immediately enrolled into a year-long training program that is very intensive, and within a year that they become where they're just incredible operators. We do hire a lot of experienced operators or experienced people in all the different groups. Experience goes a long way. It's hard sometimes to find that experience you need to, but with the right training programs and the right attitude, it can compensate for a lot of that. We also hire a lot of people from that have transferable skills. So like we've hired people that for whatever reason have left the mines around here and have come in and just within a short period of time are a real asset to the team. This industry is changing so fast. The technology. We have our control room that we run now. We just recently started the last couple of months around the clock, 24/7. We have operators in there that monitor digitally everything that's going on out in the fields, and that takes a certain talent. You got to be strong computer. You got to put forth that effort there. So we look for all that, but we do believe that we can train people in just about everything. But we just a little bit of variety keeps us going.
Justin talked about the three things that were important. I remember safety was the first one, and transparency was the last one. Tell us about transparency.
Marathon, the transparency with Marathon is probably, I would say, our best quality. We are not hiding anything. We will not. It's our company policy is if we happen to have any kind of incident, accident, it's reported immediately. Every agency, everybody, our neighbors, everything are aware of what we're doing. We have a lot of operators, just for example, that work kind of more on the safety end of this, that work in remote areas. When we first came down here, some of our routes were 400 and 500 miles a day, and some of these operators are doing 18 hours a day. We've got that down to where these operators are now doing 200 and 300 a day, and still working on scaling that back. We've brought in we've partnered with a few of the folks in the industry here and brought in an extreme MD clinic, and we have it sitting right in our parking lot out there, and that allows it's closer to the fields. Some of these remote routes, some of these operators are 2 hours away from a town, and also extreme MD also has some remote that are out there, a couple of different trucks that are driving around. We watch them on the GPS in the control room so we know where they are at all times. So we're just trying to provide more and more safety opportunity, or if there is an incident, that we can respond quicker and have that opportunity. It also helps, I think, take off some of the pressure in the local communities. Everybody knows how hard it is to get into the doctor, how hard it is to go to the hospital. So we try to be as transparent as we can on everything with safety and environmental as much as possible.
I think you just answered this question, but we'll just expound on it a little bit. Most of the operations are remote operations for a lot of the companies, including yours, and safety is important for all the companies out there. But as far as your company, can you just expound just a little bit more on safety and concerns and what you do?
Okay.
Maybe different from other people.
Okay, our core safety tool that we have in our toolbox, so to speak, is every single employee with Marathon has a stop the job authority. And I'll explain what that is. If you're a roustabout on a crew and you're going to work on a project, you're putting together a facility, and every morning you have your safety meetings, you do your JSAs, you do everything you're supposed to do. And if you're still and not comfortable with starting that job, you can ask them to stop the job. They are expected to stop the job and walk through that again specifically with what you're concerned about. You could be in the middle of a job and it's been working a couple hours and a condition changed or something happened and you're just not sure. You can stop that job and without any retribution. And if there is any retribution, we want to hear about it and it will be addressed because it is not acceptable in the Marathon culture. Every employee from our admins, the janitors, clear up to the CEO has that stop the job authority. And it's not just you don't have to stop it just if you feel there's a safety issue. If you don't understand the job, you're just not comfortable, you need to stop the job. And that culture has taken a while to develop down here. In every asset that I've worked with Marathon, we've had that. And because, there's a lot of people in the industry that have been in the industry a while, that's the old school oil field was if you stopped the job, you lost your job. And that is no longer the case, and it's no longer the case with Marathon. Very specifically, not the case. I know of no one in the 10 years, almost 10 years I've been with Marathon that have had any retribution or lost their job or anything come of because they stopped the job. It's on the contrary. If you don't stop the job and you should have, then we're going to talk to you about it.
You know, we got some high school kids in the room. A lot of the loving kids are helping us serve. We got some athletes coming to ask Randy White some questions. What would you tell these kids and their parents that are in high school right now? Is the oil and gas industry a good, viable employment goal? And what kind of skills do you want these kids to have, or maybe they should be thinking about developing now?
Well, first I'd remind them that the Steelers beat the Cowboys in which Super Bowl, Jason? No, just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. In all sincerity, to tell high school kids, and I've told my own kids this, there is a great future in this oil industry still. A lot of years left ahead, a lot of years. And there's some incredible people in these oil fields. I've shared with you Marathon's safety concerns, the way they care about their people, the way they give back to the communities. It's the great people that work with Marathon that cause that to happen in the other industries as well, I'm sure. I would, when you get out of high school, there are entry-level jobs. There's jobs in the oil fields that don't require any kind of college, more in the roustabout ranks and those types of things. But I would do everything I could, everything short of something illegal to get that college education. I would do the student loans. I would apply for the grants, borrow money from grandpa. That happens quite a bit. And get that college education. Get a minimum 2-year degree in a tech school. And then beyond that, I would go as far as you possibly can. It just opens up more and more opportunities. As you guys know, the oil fields are very cyclical. It's talked about last night how oil prices could dip and back up. The more education you have, the better off you have. I raised 6 kids in these oil fields with a stay-at-home mom. I was able to give my kids the things that they needed and a lot of things they didn't need, like the $600 Air Jordan shoes at basketball. Anyway, it's a great opportunity to get into. I would never, ever persuade anybody to leave the oil fields.
And you mentioned it. As parents and everybody wants our kids to get a college degree. And you said something about the technical schools. Is more of that needed? More technical skills?
I think there's a balance. Yes, there is. The technical. If you guys look here, what's probably the most common truck you see going down the road? It's the welders. There are a lot of welders here. Get those tech degrees. The electricians, all those types of crafts. They're good, high-paying jobs. Go to school, get that education. It can only help. It'll open up so many opportunities for you.
Got one more question for you. I know Marathon Oil is really community minded. In what other ways does Marathon Oil give back to the city, to the county, to the area?
And this is why I brought these up, because I don't want to miss one. So if you forgive me, I want to read a few of these. So again, I want to emphasize the 4 assets that I've worked for Marathon Oil: Alaska, Wyoming, and the Bakken in North Dakota, and here. Again, what makes me draw to Marathon is I love how they give back to the community, and it's endless, and there's no limit. I'll share with you a few of the things that we've done just recently. We worked with with the River Blitz. We've started in that. We've done that a couple different years. We just recently donated 50 laptops to different schools in the area, loaded with all kinds of software. We deal a lot with United Way in any activity that they're required. We love working with United Way. I want to tell you a story with the Boys and Girls Club. That's kind of where Marathon's heart has been for a long time. We had the director from the Boys and Girls Club come to us last year right before Christmas and tell us some very alarming statistics about these young kids in our community. Over 350 that were on the waiting list to get into Boys and Girls Club, and of the 250 to 300 they had, over half of them were not expected to have any kind of Christmas whatsoever. Families just couldn't afford it. Marathon got together, the employees, Marathon themselves, and we raised a bunch of money. We went Christmas shopping, wrapped presents, and basically did the Christmas for them. And it was just an incredible experience. And anytime you're involved in something like that, you know the feelings that you get back. It seems to be way more than what you give. And then just a couple more, I promise you. I got to read this one because it is just long. It's we have just recently gone into business with several of the other industry partners to support the Pecos Watershed Conservation Initiative with National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. It does conservative projects down here in southeast New Mexico. I want to tell you the last one I want to talk to you about that tells a lot about our Marathon employees. So again, Marathon cares about their employees on a personal level. We have one of our employees, Kyle, that works for us. His niece, you guys might have read about this. It happened in I believe it was in Dallas, or no, I think it was in Houston. Excuse me. He has a 9-year-old niece that was diagnosed with cervical cancer, 9 years old, and so we real quick, she needed help. Things weren't going really well, so Marathon pulled together all the employees, and we raised over $10,000 for her. And sent that with Kyle to help her with the issues she's having. And right now she's diagnosed 100% cancer free. So it's just been an incredible thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Absolutely. So if I could, I just, in a kind of a summary for me, if you're all right with that.
I am all right with that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Justin, no, I'm just kidding, Justin. I want to make sure on a personal level that you guys understand why I'm with Marathon. And I'm not going to cry. It's not that kind of personal level. Again, I was in Alaska for 35 years. My wife was raised on a homestead up there for 50 years. 6 kids, all my grandkids there. I would have never thought in a million years I would have left Alaska. Is there any guy in their right mind that would have left Alaska? Fishing, the hunting, all this kind of stuff. Well, the market conditions happened up there where Marathon had to sell their asset. And I had the opportunity to go work with some other oil companies. I decided to stay with Marathon, and I hope to end my career with Marathon in several years down the road when I can retire. I did that because, again, of their genuine safety culture, the way they take care of the environment, the way they take care of their people, the way they give back to the communities. It was the hardest thing my wife and I did to go to Wyoming and leave all those grandkids and all those kids. And as we've made our rounds down here, I honestly cannot see myself leaving New Mexico. In fact, we've told our kids that we're going to retire. We decided one day we're going to retire here in New Mexico and have the both worlds, best of both worlds. So when we'll have the great weather, the great people in the community, and then when they come down, they bring the fresh halibut and the fresh salmon. So we're really excited about that. And I just want to emphasize in closing, if there's a table of Marathon folks that are sitting there. We have our VP down. We have different levels of managers here and some of the local supervisors. And I know without any doubt, because I've worked with them or worked for every one of them, they share these same values. And there's not even a doubt. If there was, I promise you, I would not work for Marathon. And that's how strongly I feel about this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.